Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 71859, the Dragon of Life from the LEGO NINJAGO Dragons Rising Season 4 wave. This set contains 1,050 pieces, 8 minifigures, and will retail for $109.99 in the US when it officially releases on January 1st, 2025. This set was gifted to me early for review by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are entirely my own. If you missed it, I've been doing early reviews of every single January 2026 NINJAGO set. There should already be a few up on the channel, but let me know in the comments which set you want to see an early review of next. And if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more, liking and subscribing does a ton to help support me and the channel, and it also helps YouTube to show you my videos more often. So thank you all very much for the support, and now let's get into the review. So here is the Dragon of Life, of course the main focus of this set. This is one of the sets that I got to see early at Fan Media Days, which by the way, if you're curious about an interview with the designer, that's already up on my channel. But I've had a very mixed opinion of the set ever since I saw it. When it was first revealed to me, I wasn't seeing it too close, and I was very excited. But then I got to spend some more time with it, and honestly, I didn't like it nearly as much. But then now, a few months have passed, it came in the mail, and I got to build it up, and honestly, I've come back around on it. I actually do really like it. Still definitely not my favorite dragon of all time or anything, but I actually think it's done quite well. So let's go through everything that it has going on. Starting at the head, it uses this newer headpiece that was introduced in 2025 for the Guardian Dragon and Rontu sets. And if you saw my reviews of those sets, I'm not the biggest fan of this headpiece. I will say of all the sets that have used it so far, I think this one uses it the best. But I still think there's a really weird disconnect between having a molded, like, upper jaw piece and a brick-built lower jaw. Just because, obviously, when you do a molded part, you can do these exact shapes that you can't get otherwise, right? Such as, like, these tiny little teeth. But then when the lower jaw is brick-built, it has to be somewhat blocky. So just stylistically, I feel like there's a conflict there. That being said, I do think this one actually does it pretty well for what it's worth. Like, this doesn't feel out of place at all. I still would definitely prefer a molded jaw here, but it's certainly not Rontu. This definitely still feels like a complete and finished dragon head. One of my favorite aspects of this build is the color scheme, just because it's so different from any other NINJAGO dragon we've gotten. Because we've had green dragons before, but they've been exactly that, just green. This, though, feels like a proper nature dragon, a life dragon. It uses, like, brown to be tree bark, it's got the green, of course, to be leaves, but then you also have gray for stone, and you got some tan in here as well. The color combination, I think, is phenomenal, and the printing on the face is a prime example of that. The horns are super cool, too, the way they're designed to actually look like tree branches. And on the top of the head, there's this all-new leaf/armor element, which you'll see in quite a few places in this build, and I think it fits perfectly here to almost be like a little crown. In terms of, like, making this headpiece work, I think it helps that there's a fully brick-built back of the head. That helps to make this upper jaw just feel like a part of the dragon's head and not the entirety of it. The mouth, as you've seen, can open and close, and the entire head connects to the neck on a ball joint, so there's quite a good range of motion here. The neck connects to the body on a ratchet joint, so it adds some stability. However, there is still some motion you can get out of it. It's not a huge range of motion, honestly. I would have liked to see a little bit more. Because, for example, you can't have the dragon properly look down. The neck only moves this far forward, and the head doesn't move down any further than this. You can sort of have it look off to the side and down like this, but even still, that's quite awkward. So I wish there was a bit more motion there, but it's also far from the worst I've seen. Definitely an improvement over, say, like the Arc Dragon of Focus. And I know sometimes there has to be trade-offs between posability and looks, and I will say this dragon looks very natural when it comes to texturing. We do also have some stickers on the neck for some scales. Coming down to the torso, the shaping on the chest is spectacular. I really love the way they sort of frame the leg joints to give the appearance of muscles. That leaf piece is used again in gold here to be like a little crest, and there's this green like Z-blob type piece in the center. I continue to find it so impressive whenever they make like every side of the dragon covered up. It feels like a natural transition from the neck into the body, but also the body into the back, and also the chest into the belly. Like here at the front of the dragon, there's no clear bottom, right? Studs and anti-studs are covered up pretty much everywhere they possibly could be. We'll take a look at the wings in just a moment, but here's a better look at the dragon's side when they're open. It uses lots of the Nexonite shield pieces, but those work really well for scales. And the back is very pretty. I especially love these two Nexonite shields right here to sort of look like shoulder blades, because those are right above the wings. As we move down the dragon's back and into the tail, you can see a lot more of this dark bluish gray come in. And that's because this is actually meant to look like a little stone path, which is such a creative concept. This is a dragon of life, it's made out of nature. Including something like a walking path on the dragon's body is so cool. And you can see there's open studs here too. Like this is a proper seat for a minifigure to sit if you want to like ride the dragon. But you can also pose minifigures running up the tail on that path. The transparent green I think is used very tastefully here. It gives it that like loose sense of elemental energy, but it's not overbearing. The more like natural parts of the design are definitely the focus. The tail attaches in a way we've seen a lot of creature tails do before, which just sort of loose and can swing back and forth. However, it has more restricted movement than some of the other tails I've seen do something similar. And that might sound like a bad thing, but I think I actually prefer this. Because a lot of the times the base of the tail will connect like this, and you can turn it like a full 90 degrees. But then the other segments of the tail cannot turn nearly as far, so if you want to create like a natural turn on those dragons, it's a little bit awkward. This though restricts the base of the tail from not turning too far, so you could do like a very natural wagging motion, but then the rest of the tail can be posed more intentionally. And overall, it just looks much better on display when you finally let go. The tail does a great job to bring together the green, brown, tan, and gray elements. We have some stickers here with some leafy scales on top of the more bark-like scales. And you can see the green becomes less prevalent as you move down the tail. Then at the very end we have these tiny little leaf pieces on the back, then another one of these dragon horns to end off the tail, which is tipped off by another one of these brand new leaf pieces. Coming to the legs, the front legs use double ratchet joints, and this is pretty standard for most mechs and dragons these days, but it's standard for a reason. It works very well. Just like the rest of the build, the color choices on the legs are very well done. I like how with the brown bark-like bits, they're a little more geometric, like you do still have some smooth ones, but if you look at the green pieces in the set, they're almost entirely smooth. It feels like with the brown pieces, they're willing to go with a few harsher angles to give it more of that like tree bark-like feel. There's some stickers at the front to transition from that tan on the belly into the brown. And there's more of those leaf pieces in transparent green to cover up the joints a little bit, because otherwise they are somewhat obvious on the build. And I will say, I do wish they'd been covered up a little bit more. I do think this piece was a smart decision, because you could fold it up when you move the leg up, but especially from the front view, those joints are super visible. Now you can't cover them up too much or else you won't be able to move them. And luckily gray is actually a part of this dragon's color scheme, so it doesn't feel super out of place. But yeah, I don't know, maybe extend the leg up a little bit higher, just cover them a bit more. Because I wish they weren't just like all you're staring at from the front view. The feet connect in a really cool way. They're actually at a little bit of an angle. They use one of these inverted slope pieces, but you're actually supposed to put the feet flat like on that slope. That gives the dragon some extra height and makes the foot placement more dynamic. And also we got some more scale stickers down here. Toes of course can be posed individually. They're little individual claw pieces, and they can also be moved in and out. The back legs, like on many dragons, are much smaller, and they lean fully into the more stone design. As I mentioned with the brown areas, the gray areas are also a lot more angled, though of course they still have some more curved pieces. I feel like they do a good job to capture that like natural variance in real life stone. We have a cool sticker piece here too, with some sort of stone carving, and I'm not sure what exactly that's supposed to be, if anything, but it looks neat at the very least, and it is the same sticker on both legs. And then the design for the feet is a design we've actually seen before in Ninjago. I'm pretty sure the Arc Dragon of Focus uses this and maybe a couple others. But hey, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think this is actually a really good dragon foot design. And of course it was changed to be themed around this dragon specifically by using this textured rock piece on the side. The toes here, of course, can move individually as well. Feet connect to the legs on a ball joint, and legs connect to the body on a single ratchet joint. So quite a full range of motion and can rotate pretty much a full 360, it's just the wings get in the way sometimes, as well as swing outward like this. But now let's talk about the wings, which are probably the most controversial part of this build, at least for me personally. Right off the bat, they're gorgeous. They're a very, very pretty transparent green vinyl piece. I absolutely love the graphic of all the leaves. We got the smaller leaves at the top, and then the much bigger leaves at the bottom, almost to be like feathers. Visually, the wings are absolutely the thing that ties this dragon together and makes it feel like it's properly a part of nature. The part about them that I'm more mixed on, though, is the motion that they have. So if you pull down on this brown tooth piece right here, you can actually open the wing up, and you can see that extends it out back significantly. I think that motion from a technical perspective is very cool. It's very smooth and it does extend significantly. However, with the wing fully extended, you do have a ton of exposed Technic right here. And when I first saw that, I'll be honest, I did not like it, but I think I've come around on it a bit, because the idea here is this is a nature dragon, so it's sort of meant to look like a tree branch. And a tree branch is not going to be fully covered up, it's going to be thin, it's going to have holes in it. Of course, there's the issue of the blue Technic pin showing, but that's a general LEGO issue that they've had for years because they refuse to recolor that part. And there is reasons behind it, but that's besides the point. You can see the blue in here, which definitely feels out of place. But the green and brown Technic beams, I don't know, personally, I do not mind them as much as I did when I first saw this build. But the other thing is the motion on the wings is very, very weird, because unlike most dragons, there's no, like, proper flapping this thing can do. The wings do connect on with a ratchet joint, but if you look at how they're connected, if you move it down, the actual vinyl wing goes towards the ground rather than being on top. So you would have to invert this entire thing if you wanted it to actually flap and make sense. You can also swivel the entire wing on the ratchet joint, but that's also very weird, because it's just like, I don't really get the point. You could swivel them forward like this, which is actually a pretty cool look. But just playing with this in my own time, it feels like there's a lot of motion that you don't actually want to be doing. Like, you could swivel this so far the wing just hits the body. And if you try to hinge it down while the wing's closed up, it's just gonna, like, bend on the legs. So it's definitely very weird, but like I said, I have actually come around on it. Because I feel like I was looking at it wrong. I was looking at it like it was just any other Ninjago dragon, rather than being this forest dragon, the dragon of life. And I feel like the way they did the wings was the better way to do it if they wanted to make it feel like an actual tree. And it does make them feel less like actual wings, sure. But I think it's actually really creative that where the wings typically are, instead there's tree branches that function more like tree branches than as wings. Now, I think ideally, best of both worlds, if you want to have both functions, they should have included 2 more vinyl pieces and also had them on the back of the wings, which dragons don't typically do, right? You usually only have 1 copy of the wings. And that makes sense for a more, like, realistic dragon. But since this one already has the bushy leaves on its wings, I think it makes sense for the bushy leaves to be on both sides. So that way you can maintain this cool, like, covered up, hidden in the forest look it has already. But then if you want to open the wings up and actually flap them, you wouldn't be looking at the underside like this. There would be leaves on both sides. So it would still feel like the top of the wing no matter what. I will say, if you want the wings to flap more normally, normally, you can just swap which side the wings are on. Move the wing on the left to the right side, and move the wing on the right to the left side. But then when you have the wings folded up like this, you're just going to be looking at the inside of the wings, so there's no perfect solution, at least from what you get in the set. So yeah, it's definitely very odd, very creative the way this is done. And while I didn't like it at first, I have come around to it quite a bit, but I still think it could have been done a little bit better. The whole, like, tree branch thing the wings have going on, though, I think is awesome. Also, this golden blade can move out separately, too, if you want to do that. Not a huge shock, but this is a very front-heavy build, so if you're posing it, that's something to be aware of. Both front legs pretty much have to be touching the ground at all times, though you can play with them a little bit, like this one has this one leg slightly raised. Back legs, though, you have a lot more freedom, just feel free to lift it up. There's no issues at all with that. In terms of weight distribution and posing, this feels like a pretty standard large four-legged dragon to me. Nothing it does that's like exceptional or new, but it doesn't do anything poorly either. This is what I'd expect, and I'm perfectly happy with it. But I think that's about all I have to show you for the actual main build of the set, the Dragon of Life. So now let's move on to the two side builds in the set, then the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts on everything at the end. Here's the first side build in the set, which is just a little bit of terrain, and I love getting things like this. We do not get this kind of stuff nearly enough in Ninjago anymore. Fans of the show, I was told this is not really anything from the show, it's just something fun for the set, which is awesome. I'm glad they don't have to, like, force anything in. But yeah, here you can see a ton of this new leaf piece. We have it in bright green on this tree, and then this little bush right here, and then transparent light green in whatever this thing is in the center. If you fold it open, you can see it hides the Sword of Fire inside, which is very funny to see that coming in a Dragons Rising set. But hey, it's generally just a very cool part to get. It's nice to see it back on shelves. There's this very pretty little stone lantern right here, which actually matches the one that comes in the Ninja Anniversary display. It uses the Minecraft shulker shell for the base, and it breaks the Lego grid a little bit, which is cool. Feels like way too complex of design for a side build like this, but I'll take it. I'm happy with it. But the main play feature here is there's this knob at the back that you can spin, and when you spin that, some gears move, and this whole area that the Sword of Fire is in starts spinning as well. So you can imagine the ninja have to do something to stop the spinning and recover the Sword of Fire. This is a lot of fun. It gives you some cool new parts to work with if you don't care about this build, and for kids especially, this is something fun to play with. I think this is well done. I'm happy it was included. And then the other side build in the set is the Earth Monster Mech. At least it's called a mech, but what I've been told is in the show it's not exactly a mech. You see there's these Elemental Monster minifigures. This one is the Earth Monster. We'll get into him more when we talk about the minifigures. And at some point during the season, they're going to transform from like minifigure size to being big. So this is to represent the big form of the Earth Monster. So to do that, you just place the minifigure inside, close it back up around him. These pieces on the shoulders are actually accessories for the minifigure while he's out of the mech. And again, we'll take a look at that with the minifigure in just a moment. But I love how they integrate into the build. It feels very natural here. This is a fairly basic mech design, but I think it's quite good. These big rocky pieces are always fun to get. I love the claws for hands. You can use them to pick up a minifigure, which is one of my favorite things to do. The mech has a waist swivel, the arms are connected on mini ball joints as well as the hands. Same thing with the legs and then the big feet. It's a small, light mech with a huge range of motion, so it's very easy to pose. There's definitely some pretty cool things you could do with it. I appreciate that it's covered up in like the earth elemental stuff even from the back. You got some cool transparent orange in here. I like that it only uses half of the Marvel Mech cockpit piece and they don't use the full front, because this is so much more interesting than using that. And it's always just great to have a villain build whenever we get one. I don't know if I really have much else to say about it, because it works as you'd expect a mech to work. But again, I'm happy it's here. It's awesome. It adds more value to the set. So here are the first two minifigures in the set, Dragon Form Cole and Dragon Form Lloyd. So yeah, this is the gimmick of this wave. They're in dragon form, and you might be thinking, didn't we already get dragon form? Wasn't that a thing in Ninjago Crystallized? And the answer would be yes. Yes, it was. So I don't really know how this differs from dragon form and Crystallized, but the ninja, they're part dragon again. I guess we'll have to wait and see the show when it comes out. I got the chance to talk to the designers of these sets at LEGO's Fan Media Days, which by the way, if you've not checked out that interview, you can hear them talk about it a little bit more. That's already up on the channel. But I asked them there, I'm like, what is dragon form? What is this? And they essentially told me wait for the show to find out. All I was told is that this is true form, quote unquote. Whatever that means, this is true form. So yeah, not entirely sure what's going on. Curious to see it happen in the show. But that aside, these are pretty cool minifigures. The big thing is, each of the original ninja have these exclusive hood pieces with like horns on them, then they have wings at the back as well as a dragon tail, which is probably the coolest part of these. And of course, for each ninja, it's recolored to fit their design. There is a little bit of weird inconsistency in the color schemes, because you can see Lloyd here uses lime green, which is the same color as his hood and his arms, but Cole here has black on his wings, which is the same color as his main outfit and his tail, but the opposite color of his horns and his arms. So I'm not sure why on some ninja the wings are the secondary color and others it's the main color. I don't know which of the two I prefer, probably the secondary color just because I feel like it ties it in a little bit better. Though I don't know, I think Cole looks pretty cool too. So maybe they just went by whichever looks cooler or whichever's easier to produce. Either way, I find the inconsistency a little bit strange, but it's not like a huge deal. But yeah, my favorite part about these guys is definitely the all-new tailpiece. This attaches between the torso and the legs, and it's rubber, so there's no, like, actual articulated motion, but there is a little bit of give if you want to, like, move it around a bit. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. Let's talk about their accessories first. Cole has a little hammer, very standard for him, and Lloyd has his sword that he's had for forever. So now let's get those out of their hands so I can get a bit more room here. All of the Dragon Form Ninja have these brand new golden armor pieces that have, like, double plating on them, and then studs at the back, where you can see clips are attached to attach their wings. There's what it looks like with the wings removed. It definitely feels very big for an armor piece, but I kind of love that. My thing with ninja suits is we've had so many over the years, so whenever a ninja suit does something new, I'm happy to see it, because I'd so much rather have something unique than just like another standard ninja suit, so we've gotten that a million times before. And this certainly feels unique. Like, I don't think there's another ninja suit like this. I mean, I guess we have the other dragon form, but this is doing it in a very different way. This one has tails, and they're not going for like the elemental energy thing that they did last time, where a bunch of the minifigure parts were transparent. The wings, I should mention, are not new pieces. They're the ones from the Dragonians in 2025, though of course they're in a bunch of new colors this year. And the general design for the outfits is very similar for each ninja, but I'm glad it's not the exact same thing. They all have dragon skulls in the torso, like little scaled knee pads and like dragon toes, but you can see just between Lloyd and Cole right here, it is a different design. Lloyd's a bit more symmetrical, right, with his robe sort of folding over to one side a bit, while the fold in Cole's robe is much more to the left, and the scales on Cole do look a lot rockier while Lloyd's are more pristine. They both have these like golden dragon faces in the center of their torso, each with a symbol in them, and I believe these are just meant to be their standard symbols, right? The NINJAGO letter C and the NINJAGO letter L, though they are a bit more stylized than they typically are. Oh, also in terms of differences, you can see Lloyd's belt hangs over both legs while Cole's is only on one. That reminds me a lot of the kind of things you'd see on older NINJAGO suits, so I'm happy to see that come back. It's nice, it makes the suits feel consistent, but it's not literally just copy-pasting the design, right? It's more than just their symbols changing. New hood pieces I actually quite like. I think these look cool. They definitely still feel like ninja hoods, but they also feel very animated and exaggerated. And it's neat to see the double color. I'm happy to see Lloyd using lime green again. I feel like it's been a moment since we last saw that. Here they are with the hoods, armor, and wings removed, and there's like the back torso prints as well. I guess I should take off the tails. There you go. You can see they have that same gold armor at the top, but then more of those dragon scales. And again, it's different for each of them. Cole's got that like rockier design, while Lloyd's scales are more triangular. Face prints are just the standard Dragons Rising face prints. However, these visors that they have on the front that they've had since the very first wave, I was told by the designers in my interview that these will actually be appearing in the show for the first time with these suits. They've been entirely non-canon up to this point. They were like vaguely meant to represent dragon power, but you never actually saw these visors in the show. But yeah, apparently in the show when they unlock these forms, they're gonna have these eyes, which is very exciting to see that finally after all this time, this is actually gonna be canon. Oh, one more thing, because people always ask about it, side-to-side motion on the mask is actually decent, so you can actually turn the ninja's head while their mask is on, which is something you can't always do, so that's nice to see. And both of these minifigures are technically exclusive to this set. You can find the normal versions of both Lloyd and Cole in other sets, and the only difference between normal form and dragon form is the normal form does not come with the wings, does not come with the hood, and does not come with the tail, but the armor, torso, and leg print is the same on both versions. But yeah, if you want the full, like, dragon version, this is the only set where you can get these two. Here are the next two minifigures in the set. We have Zane and we have Arin. Zane is what I just described. This is his non-dragon dragon form. I have no idea what we're going to call these suits, because it is the dragon form suits, just without the dragon form aspects. So yeah, no wings, no tail, no mask, which do come in other sets, but the torso and legs are the same as his dragon form. This is just the standard Zane for this wave. He comes with two gold katanas, as you just saw. And with those removed, here's a better look at the torso and legs, and I think the Zane suit's fine. Zane's my favorite ninja, so I'm always very excited to get a new Zane minifigure. However, there's a few aspects of this guy that I'm just not in love with. Of course, he's got the same general aesthetic that we just saw in Cole and Lloyd, right? That dragon face at the top with the symbol in the center, and then he's got dragon scales, the belt that comes down, the little dragon toes. I really love the shade of blue that they use on his arms, and his full dragon form, it's also on his hood, but of course it's not here. However, the colors they chose for his scales, I'm not the biggest fan of, because they have a gray outline, but then a little bit of gold, and then the gold has like a light blue outline around that, which I guess is to represent the element of ice, but I feel like it's too many contrasting colors in a small space that it ends up feeling just a little bit dirty looking to me. Like, I don't get ice vibes from this. The blue and the gold being so close together just makes it look kind of gross. So I kind of wish they left out the blue or left out the gold, and just committed to one color or the other. Like the Lloyd we just looked at only had two colors. He used dark green and gold. This one has three. It's the dark gray, the gold, and the light blue. And then yeah, that's another thing, is dark gray on Zane is weird. I think this is the first time I've ever seen that color used so prominently. He's used the light gray before, and he's used like metallic silver before, but this just uses a matte dark gray, and I really don't think that looks good on him. Specifically on the belt and the undershirt, I just feel like that doesn't fit. I would have much preferred if they tied back in this blue that's on the arms there. I think that would look amazing. Or even a light gray or a light blue, that would be better. But yeah, this dark gray, it's the same exact color Cole uses. It doesn't really fit ice at all, it doesn't really fit Zane at all. I guess it's somewhat similar to titanium, but it's clearly a different color. So overall, I feel like this figure has too much going on, and the full dragon form is definitely a little bit better when he has the tail, he has the full hood. I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan. I do think the armor actually looks really cool on him though, because the ninja get the half mask when they're not in their complete dragon form. And something about the mask being so tiny and the armor being huge I think looks awesome. Especially with like Zane's like very small hairpiece. That's definitely the coolest part of this guy. There's the back torso print, which I honestly think looks a little bit better, because even though it's the same color scheme, the scales are bigger, so the colors don't get lost in each other as much. But again, I think they would have been better just committing to one color or the other. And then of course face print is Zane's standard like modern face. Not much to add there. But now coming to Arin, he has an all new suit for this wave, which looks absolutely awesome. I'm always happy to see one of the new ninja actually get a new outfit, and this guy looks great. He's no longer Dark Arin, so he doesn't have like the black mask and the one black arm, but he's kept that like two color design now the black's been swapped for dark blue. Dark blue is a color that Arin's used a little bit previously. It was sort of on his tournament outfit, and like on his casual outfit he wore blue jeans, which is kind of funny. I think that's where the color originally comes from, but I do think the dark blue fits really well with the bright orange. His other arm is also a brand new color for him, because that's not just the standard orange that he's used before, because like his very first suit was bright orange for the main outfit, and then standard orange a little bit. But no, this is actually reddish orange, which is cool to see. That's a newer LEGO color that was only introduced a few years ago, and it's a color that no other ninja uses, as opposed to the regular orange, which he shared with Cole. Dark blue, he definitely has some competition for. We have a lot of dark blue ninja. Jay uses it, Sora uses it, Arin uses it, and Zane has used it very rarely. So that part's definitely not the most unique, but I think blue with the orange really works. He's still using like the Dragons Rising Season 1 style hood, and I would have liked a new color somewhere there, because both of these parts existed in the first wave. That's Sora's armor piece and Arin's hood piece. So if you had a fully dark blue hood but still had the horns, that would have been neat. But I will admit, he looks good like this. I just would have personally liked some more new parts. Here's a look at him with the armor and hood removed, so you can have a better look at that torso print. And I love this design. This might be my favorite Arin suit yet. It's completely symmetrical with like the two dueling dragons, one dark blue and one reddish orange. The blue belt perfectly breaks up the torso from the legs. We got some gold clasps to bring in some of that gold there, and he's got a blue undershirt as well. Then we still have his symbol at the bottom here, which we also had on Dark Arin. And then turning him around, this might be the coolest part of the design. He's still got his symbol right here, the NINJAGO letter A, but then he also spells out his name around it. And you can see the bodies of these blue and orange dragons back here too. The only negative about this figure is the face print, because he's still stuck with the same face from the first wave of Dragons Rising, which is not a bad face for him. I just hate that it's our only face for him. I would really love to have like an angry or annoyed Arin face, because he's a ninja. Like all the other ninja have some sort of angry face for when they're fighting, and even though Arin's generally a very happy, positive character, it would be nice to have more options, because we only have two faces for him. This one, and then one where he's smiling with his mouth open. We don't have like an angry ninja Arin yet, and I feel like we definitely need it. But yeah, very, very cool minifigure. He does come in another cheaper set, so this is not your only way to get him, but I'm happy he comes in more than one. And I hope this is a trend that more of the new ninja will be getting new suits, because they absolutely need them. Zane 2 is technically exclusive in this form, but you get the full dragon form in a cheaper set, and with the full dragon form you can make this figure, so I don't know if I would count this as exclusive, but this is the only set to have like the regular version of Zane from this wave. Here are the next two minifigures in the set, and remember how I was talking about how cool it was that Arin got a new suit, like just a couple seconds ago? Well, here's Sora, who does not have a new suit. At the very least, it's her Spectral suit this time, the one from summer 2025, so they're not going back and still doing Season 1 Sora, which I'm happy to see, because Season 1 Sora has come in a lot of sets. This, at the very least, is newer, but yeah, it's still not like a brand new suit for this wave, and I don't need a new ninja suit every wave, but if all the original ninja are gonna get one, and Arin's gonna get one, Sora should get one too. I think Arin, Sora, Wildfire, Frack, they should be treated the exact same way the original ninja are. If the original ninja are getting new suits, so should they. So yeah, I won't spend super long on this one, because it is just the Spectral suit. I've reviewed it in the summer 2025 sets, but I do generally like the design. They swapped out the dragon armor piece for the Tournament of Sources armor, which I actually think quite fits the suit, and I do actually really like the Sora design. It feels like a proper ninja suit for her, which she hasn't exactly had before now. I guess tournament kind of, but she has proper ninja robes in her color scheme, and her color scheme is so unique with that coral in there. The little cat symbol on her belt's very cute, and there's look at the back torso print with that NINJAGO letter S that's also sort of shaped like a cat. Her face print is just a standard Dragons Rising face print. This is actually a very good minifigure. I just wish it was a new one. But hey, if you don't have Spectral Suit Sora yet, it's good to get her here. And then we have this character, the Loyalist Leader, who is one of the brand new villains of this wave, and this character is sort of a spoiler for the show. Personally, my rule on spoilers for the show is if it's in the sets, it doesn't really count as a spoiler, but this character has an identity that has not been revealed yet, and that identity is on their alternate face. And I feel like I can't really talk about the figure without talking about who they are, so if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead to the next timestamp. It should be in the description. But again, my policy is if it's in the set, it doesn't really count as a spoiler, because the designers were okay to put it in the set. So yeah, let me take this hood off, and you can see that the Loyalist Leader's true identity is Dr. LaRoe, which is a character I did not expect to see coming back, but I think is awesome. I love that continuity between Dragons Rising. The fact that this character we've not seen since Season 1 is now going to be a major villain in Season 4, that's incredible. And with that context, I think it makes her design and name name and everything make a lot more sense. Because I'm pretty sure what it means is she's a loyalist to the old Imperium government. The Empress was overthrown, she was loyal to the Empress, so she is the leader of the loyalists, everyone who is still loyal to the Empress. However, there's a bit more going on here, because she comes with a really cool staff that has a printed tile on top. And this printed tile has like this dragon face, but then with like a bunch of things coming out of it. We've got a spike, we've got a bunch of rocks, this looks like fire, and that's a tentacle. And I think this might relate to the villains of this wave, the elemental monsters, because the tentacle sort of matches the mutation monster, that horn sort of matches the earth monster. That rocky one, I'm not sure what that would be, because I would say earth monster, but the earth monster is very clearly the horn. And then fire, we don't have any fire monster yet. The only other one we have is the acid monster, which I think is more water than anything, but we'll get into that when we get into those. But yeah, as a collectible, this staff looks sick. I love that that piece is printed. And with it removed, here you can see we have a better look at her torso. Color scheme like screams Imperium to me. It's black, dark red, and gold. It's not as high-tech as Imperium was, but the color scheme is definitely there. And then she's got this very strange golden mask with glowing green eyes. And it's got a very similar look to that dragon on the staff, right? She's got fangs, she's got tentacles coming out of it, and looks like sort of a fiery effect on the sides. Super cool looking, but no idea what's going on there. And then there's also symbols on the robes, like that looks somewhat rocky right there. That also looks like a rock, but then you have like fangs at the top. This, I don't know what it is, right below the fangs. There's two of that little dragon face at the very top right here, and then she's got a necklace on. And if we turn her around, you can see her back torso print, which does have that same symbol that's on the staff. Hard to talk too much about her without knowing the full context of the show, but this is a very cool minifigure design, and I'm happy to see the character back. And then here are the final two minifigures in the set, two more villains. We have the Acid Monster and the Earth Monster. And again, I'm not entirely sure who these guys are, but I think I have a good idea, at least. So at Fan Media Days, we were told these are called elemental monsters. There's these two, and there's the mutation monster who comes in other sets. And I think the exact words were these monsters came about when the ninja's elements went haywire. So what I think this actually is like corrupted evil versions of their elements. And that's most clear from this guy right here being called the Earth Monster. Earth is, of course, Cole's element. And spoilers for Dragons Rising Season 3, but it ends with half the ninja losing their elemental powers because the Source Dragons just left. So I assume a big part of Season 4 is them trying to get them back, and I guess their elements have gained sentience and also turned evil? Or they got corrupted by something, maybe by the Loyalists, I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure each of the elemental monsters is meant to represent a different element. We get 3 this wave, and maybe 3 more in the summer, or maybe these are the only 3 that matter. But yeah, Earth Monster is very clearly Earth. Acid Monster's not as direct, but I would assume it would be water, because it's a liquid, and I guess acid would be the corrupted form of water. And then we have Mutation Monster, who I assume is life, because that's Lloyd's element. Mutation sounds like the opposite of life, and they're also both green. I'm not 100% on that, that's mostly just me theorizing, but from what I know, that makes the most sense to me. Also, interesting fact, when I was at Fan Media Days, this figure was called Acid Snake, and this one was called the Tar Monster, so it sounds like their names might have changed at some point during development. Anyway, starting with the accessories, the Acid Monster has like the staff with a little tooth on top. That's cool, I like the transparent green head to be like an acid vial or something. I feel like it fits this character well. And then the Earth Monster's awesome. He's got these 2 claws, which also match the claws in his head. Really neat that they created a new part that works as both a weapon and a head accessory. And you saw these are also the weapons that go onto the shoulders of the mech, which we looked at earlier in this video. But I think it's so cool that you get 3 copies of such an elaborate piece in this set. Now, with the accessories removed, here's a look at just the minifigures, and the Acid Snake is probably one of my favorite villain designs we've had in Ninjago in a while. I mean, Dragons Rising has had great villain designs generally, but this guy is so cool. We have this all-new dual-molded headpiece in purple and transparent bright green. I love that the neck is transparent from the front, and we have like these transparent frills on the back. The Acid Snake itself has 4 eyes, 2 on each side, and its teeth are transparent green as well. Such an evil-looking design, and despite being a snake, which of course we've had many times in Ninjago, feels very different from every other snake we've ever gotten. Lime green and purple is generally just a great color scheme too. The lime green pops so much against the purple. And I love seeing the snake tail piece back, because it has been a moment since we got that. I think the last time was Pythor and crystallized. So it's awesome to see it back around. I know this isn't technically a serpentine, but seeing snake parts again in Ninjago makes me very happy. And then the Earth Monster is cool. I'll be honest, the dark tan color scheme is just like not the most exciting to me. It does fit the idea of Earth Monster really well, but when you compare it to the purple and lime green thing right next to him, I think this is way cooler. But no, I think this represents what it's going for really well. Again, I love that headpiece. He's got a very sinister grin, and there is like this orange glowing energy coming from inside him. That's reflected in his armor piece too, which is the crystallized armor piece, and we also saw it used on Lord Raz. And it's been recolored for this minifigure in transparent orange. And you may have noticed, but both of these two have like these little charms that match that symbol that was on the Loyalist Leader. So yeah, I think he's well designed. It's just like personally not one of my favorite minifigures of the wave. wave. This guy, though, this guy rules. But now, overall, what are my thoughts on this set? I think this set's pretty good, honestly. I've come around on it a lot. I never, like, disliked the set, but when I first saw it, I'm like, that's an okay dragon. I put it around that at the same level as Arc Dragon of Focus. Having built it myself now and having played with it a bit, I definitely like it a lot more than the Arc Dragon of Focus, and I do think it's a pretty good package overall. The minifigure selection is certainly one of the highlights. 8 minifigures is really, really good, and a quite good cast of characters, too. Like, these are not nothing minifigures. The dragon is certainly very unique for better and for worse, so if you're just tired of the same Ninjago dragon over and over again, this is definitely something new. And I absolutely adore that they took a bit of a risk and tried something new here. Price I haven't really touched on yet. It's $110, which I think is alright. Not the worst price set ever, not great either. I think 100 would have been solid, 90 would have been best. 110 isn't awful though. But yeah, overall I like this set. I'm happy I gave it more of a chance, but I'm not like in love with it like I am some others. So would I recommend that you guys pick it up? If you're a huge fan of Dragons Rising and you think the set looks cool, yeah, sure, go for it. But if you only buy Ninjago stuff occasionally, you're not going to get everything from every wave. Honestly, I do think there's better options out there. The blacksmith shop is the same wave and it's only $10 less. And I know that's a very different set. It's a display building versus a playset dragon. But comparing those two sets in the same wave, it's sort of unmatched. Like, that one is way better. So if you have a $100 Ninjago budget and it's this set or that set, I would highly recommend the blacksmith shop. But yeah, if you're interested in this one and you don't mind the cost, I would recommend checking it out. I'm quite happy to have it in my collection. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to my channel if you're new. And let me know in the comments, which January 2026 Ninjago set do you want to see an early review of next? But as for this video, I think that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!